Truth Unveiled here, keeping you updated with the world around you and letting you know a weather event that's taking storm literally, because this has been going on worldwide. There's been historic flooding all over the place, and the question is, are you paying attention to it? Now, I'm here at Newsweek, and it says the Louvre to reopen after historic Paris floods, and there's been so much activity going on in Paris. First of all, with the whole so-called Paris attacks, which was just one great big hoax again, not to mention all of the state of emergencies that have been declared there, not to mention all of the peace talks going on there, and even all of the games such as the Tour de France and even Euro 2016. Is it all a coincidence that it's all coinciding? I don't think so. But it says France declares emergency over the floods, and it says the home of the Mona Lisa, the Louvre Museum in Paris, said to be the most visited museum in the world, will reopen Wednesday after shutting its doors and moving artwork because of what they call historic flooding in the city. And we're going to go over more of the historic flooding that's been going on here as well as other places too. And you're going to see that it's not a coincidence whatsoever. I'm here at the Independent, and as you can see, it says Paris flooding. Fears grow ahead of Euro 2016 with River Seine set to rise even further. Experts warn of unpredictable flood levels less than a week before the Euro 2016 football tournament. And of course, they're going to be putting this in mainstream media, and note what they're saying. Fears grow. Why is it always about fear? Oh my goodness, everybody fear for your life, because that's the game of mainstream media. And notice how they even correlated and coincided with Euro 2016 and mentioning River Seine. Oh, now it's starting to make sense, but let's keep going. Here's a picture of it, as you can see, and how the levels are even rising even more. But it goes on to say fears are growing of serious flooding in Paris as the European Football Championship approaches, despite official assurances that all should be well. And of course, it's always talking about fears and everybody's fearing for their life. It says as scores of towns to the east and south of Paris suffer their worst flooding for decades, the River Seine is expected to rise well above its preliminary alert level of 5 meters by Friday. The Seine quays and already awash. A popular island near the Eiffel Tower is underwater. Pleasure lounges and commercial barges have been banned from passing through the French capital. And what are they planning for? It's all through HARP and CERN, because what are they doing? They're already starting the big agenda. They're already starting what flooding, and we're already seeing it uptick on a level like never before, because this hasn't happened in France for over 100 years. Why is it all of a sudden happening? And I'm going to even show you that France is not the only place. Australia is also experiencing wild weather, and I'm here and it says 3 dead, 4 missing as flooding continues to threaten Tasmania, which is an island located south of Australia. And if we can keep reading, it says 4 people remain missing and 3 people are known to be dead as the massive storm cell that devastated parts of the east coast causes record flooding in Tasmania. So we see it's not just Paris, it's also Tasmania. But is that all? Because I'm here to report from USA Today, which says El Nino rising sea spur record clear sky flooding in 7 cities. And these cities have been experiencing record flooding. And this was reported today, by the way. But it goes on to talk about, and it goes on to say, and of course they always blame it on El Nino when they don't tell you that it's HARP and CERN, and you should be concerned about this. But it says El Nino and rising sea levels linked to what they call global warming, when we know global warming is a hoax. Just look at my video below. But anyway, it says spurred a record number of days of nuisance flooding last year in 7 coastal U.S. cities, according to a federal report. Wilmington, North Carolina recorded an all-time high of 90 days, or 1/4 of the year, partly underwater from the clear sky flooding, which isn't caused by heavy rain from a storm, the NOAA said in a report released Wednesday. Charleston, South Carolina also topped its record with 38 days, and Key West, Florida with 14 days. William Sweden, NOAA oceanographer, said the historically high waters aren't anything new. Last year we broke several records, and trends show that we'll likely continue to do so in the future, he said. Nuisance flooding leads to road closures, overwhelmed storm drains, and damaged property. It occurs with high tides in many locations due mainly to climate-related sea level rise. But has it ever occurred to you, and have you ever stopped and wondered why all of this is happening all of a sudden, and why these levels keep upticking and getting higher and higher and higher and higher? Do you you really think it's because of global warming? Do you really think it's because of climate change? I'm here to tell you that that is simply not the case. We also see severe weather in Florida as well, as the heavy rain persists in Florida after the tropical storm Colin, which has not only caused a ton of thunderstorms, but has also been causing a lot of flooding in the state as well. But it's not just Florida either. We also see a bunch of flooding that's been consistently going on in Texas rivers as well, because I'm here at ABC and it says Texas River expected to rise to record levels as floods overtake the state all of a sudden. And it says several rivers in southeastern Texas are experiencing major and even record flooding on roadways and homes after receiving almost 20 inches of rain over the Memorial Day weekend. And as you're going to see later on, Texas has been receiving so much flooding to the point where it's at record levels, not just now, but all the way back since September of last year as well. You can even see some of the river risings and how they are rising beyond proportion like never before. Now, like I said, for all you skeptics out there, I am aware, yes, these things do go on. Yes, there's flooding. Yes, there's record rain. Yes, there is severe weather. However, the fact that all of this is going on around the same time simultaneously, and it's only getting worse and not better, that should be telling you something. And there's even flooding going on in Britain too. And just look at the headline from Daily Mail and how they word it. Always look at the wording and how they say downpours bring flood chaos across Britain. They just love using the words chaos and fear, don't they? I wonder why that is. What do you think they're telling you subliminally? But this just goes over some of the reporting that they see and that we've been seeing in England, especially with the heavy rains there and all of the flooding. You can see the different pictures on your own time, and you can see how the rain is only getting worse, and it's in all of these places around the same time. And if you think that all of this is just a mere coincidence, well, not after this, because I'm here at Michael Schneider's Economic Collapse blog, and the reason that I'm here is because I want to go over with you more of the weather phenomena that we've been seeing these past couple of weeks, especially with every single place in the world. I'm telling you, it's happening worldwide. We're seeing things get even more crazy and out of control like never before. Like, for example, with the West Coast, we're seeing a bunch of heat waves and heat strokes that are going on, and I'm just going to briefly summarize this. And these temperatures that are reaching 100 degrees, even into the 110 degrees, wouldn't happen. We're seeing, of course, many people being evacuated out of their homes with all the wildfires that are going on, just like the wildfire that occurred last month in Canada as well. And we can see that 2015 was the worst year for wildfires in all of U.S. history. More than 1 million acres were set on fire just this past year, not to mention all of the flooding that we've been going on, and how the United States has now been hit by 10 major flooding events since the end of last September. And this also includes the one from Tropical Storm Jonas that did even more flooding than actual snowing back at the end of January in the Washington, D.C. East Coast area. Oh, but that's not all, because the East Coast has been hitting with storms too, as well as Florida with Tropical Storm Colin. Oh, but that's not all either, because we see with France and Belgium and the River Seine and Paris that peaked its record, not to mention all of the heat waves in India that has been going on. That, newsflash, is affecting more than 330 million people in India. That's more than the population of America. But everything's okay, isn't it? Mr. Obama says everything's okay. Your government says that everything is okay, so we should believe them, right? It's time to wake up and see the bigger agenda, and please seek Yahuwah and his true son Yahusha, because they're only gonna uptick CERN more and more. It's only going to get worse from here. I'm telling you, you might as well get ready for it. You can call it whatever you would like to call it, but it's time you see the warning signs ahead of time and see that no, not everything is okay. But this is Truth Unveiled here, keeping you updated and saying, as always, shalom.